Hey everyone, welcome to episode 9 of Comic Monitors. This is Matt Invictus. I'm here with Darnell Henriquez and special guest DC Fans United. We're here to talk about DC's New Age of Heroes books. Now, if you don't know about them, basically they're just several miniseries DC has released, mostly miniseries, focusing on mostly new characters. A significant portion of them have been identified as stand-ins for Marvel characters, and these books have garnered a surprising amount of controversy. A lot of comic readers are very divided about them. So, getting right into it, how do you guys feel about these books, ones that you've read so far?
DC go
Um,
first.
okay. Well, I mean, I have a very positive opinion of them overall. I like some better than others, of course. The Silencer and Sideways being my lesser two favorite, and the Terrifics and Damage being very much favorited. I like them quite a bit. But I think they're definitely, at worst, not bad.
Okay, and Darnell, how do you feel?
Personally, I feel like Terrifics and Silencer are my two personal favorites, and then Sideways and Damage are kind of the very forgetful ones.
Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna come right out and say it. I do not like most of these books at all. I mean, I think Terrifics is decent, and I will get into why I like that one in a bit. But overall, I feel like these books do not need to exist. That DC is wasting a lot of time and talent putting these books out, and I feel like there's a lot better things they could be doing right now than promoting new characters with no real connection to popular DC heroes. So that's, as you can see, all of us have pretty distinct opinions on these books. So let's talk about them individually. How do you guys feel about Damage? Why do you like Damage or dislike it?
It is the book I feel like. Why is this? Kind of similar to your point. It is the why is this a book? This feels like it would have been a decent Suicide Squad story that they somehow just said, "Hey, why don't we just make this into a series?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well,
Damage.
if,
Okay. I finished reading the first issue of Damage in like 2 minutes. And I was not speed reading, I was reading it at my normal pace. And I finished the whole book in just 2 minutes because it was so underwritten. And the second issue wasn't as bad in that regard. They did put a little bit of effort into the story, but overall, what it feels the most like is a 90s image comic, like one of those books with like a Rob Liefeld on art where it's like totally about like the art and the action over any kind of story. I mean, I just get like massive Youngblood vibes from it. It feels like Youngblood, but with a better artist. So, out of all of them, I think Damage is the least readable out of all of them.
I think the art on it, though, is so good that that really overshadows the other criticisms, in my opinion. And also, too, it is
I mean,
quite short, especially the first issue, but it's only 2.99, and it has a fold-out poster, which I thought was pretty cool. And the preview comic at the end helps fill it out too. I felt.
yeah, I mean, I like Tony Daniel as an artist, but it's like the thing with this art argument, you can put him on pretty much any book in the world, and it'll look just as good. And it's like you can put him on Harley Quinn, it would look just as good. And the thing is,
Yeah,
it's like DC's putting out a lot of books right now that are not very well drawn. It's like Nightwing has had pretty mediocre to crappy art throughout the entirety of Rebirth. I mean, I would have much rather have liked Tony Daniel to do a stint on Nightwing or something instead of working on Damage because I don't feel the writing or the story really have really earned his talents. If you know what I mean.
yeah. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, his drawings of characters in Damage that aren't Damage are superb too. Like you said, Harley Quinn, she's in it. She looks great. And Wonder Woman in the second issue. So yeah,
Parasite and Solomon Grundy actually looked amazing, I thought.
yeah, he's such a good artist. You know, just looking at the pencils on that without the coloring was really amazing. So I mean, I totally agree. He'd be great on anything. And
Yeah.
some of the art on other books is subpar. I'll agree too.
Yeah, and I agreed. I do like his art, but I just rather see him on anything else. It's kind of like how Marvel they got like Alex Ross to do the covers for Dan Slott's Spider-Man. So
Yeah,
you got
and
like
Legacy.
arguably the best cover artist in all of comics doing one of the worst books in all of comics. And it's like they look nice, but at the
Every
same time,
issue as well.
oh, it's
Yeah.
so
It used to be, oh my god, an Alex Ross cover. Now it's, oh, an Alex Ross cover.
Yeah. All
And they
of
didn't even get one for the
Legacy.
fucking 1000 Superman.
Mm.
Yeah, is there an Alex Ross cover for?
No, there isn't. That's what people were going about. Was like, wait, where's Alex Ross for Superman?
There's a
Yeah,
Tony
that's
S. Daniel
disgusting.
cover, so I'm all right.
Yeah.
No, I love Alex Ross too, but he is very overused and oversaturated
Mhm.
now.
But yeah, if we're done talking about Damage,
Oh wait,
Let's
Can I
move-
just say one thing?
go ahead.
Damage has the worst medias res, or the worst like, I don't want to say origin, but we all get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
The worst introduction out of all these books. Like,
Well,
well, I mean by what I mean by this is the second issue I felt did a much better correlation onto where Damage came from, what's his motivation, and why you know the whole point of the general and why he rebelled against the army. And that's not even just going into the why is he in war with the lineup with the New Age heroes, because at least with like Sideways and the Terrifics, it makes more sense why they came after Metal.
yeah, yeah, they're directly connected to Metal.
Mm-hmm. And Darnell, I think there's some problems with your mic. Maybe some
I think it's
background-
yours because it's every time you talk.
mine.
Yeah, guess what?
Is it? Hmm.
Yeah, see what I mean?
I'm
I'll
not
try
hearing.
unplugging it. And while I'm working on my mic, why don't you guys start talking about Silencer?
All right. Okay, tell me if you think I'm even a little bit close. They remind you of that black woman from the first Kill Bill movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
what
totally
it
get
reminded
that.
me of. That's what it's like. This is what
You
would
mean-
happen if this character was in the DC universe.
The one that she fights in the house.
The one that she fights in the house, and then when the
Black Mamba.
Black Mamba,
Yeah,
and then
Fox.
yeah, and then when the bride turns over and she sees the daughter, and she says, "If you're still angry, meet me in the baseball field with a baseball bat."
Yeah, that's a good comparison, especially since it's got the suburban setting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll agree
Ooh.
that Silencer.
What about
Yeah.
her power to like make a zone of silence? I could see how that would be useful in, being an assassin. I'd like to have seen more of like her maybe 10 years ago or whatever. Her power seemed kind of pointless. Like it was just to keep, just so no one will hear. I don't know.
I actually think that it is actually a really interesting concept because it's when you think about it, when it's if you just say what's her thing? Oh, she's a assassin. Oh, so she's just a good assassin? No. She, and then you see it in action, and you're actually kind of like, I actually found it to be kind of impressive on how they actually took that concept and made it. Oh, I can actually see why she went up the ranks, and then in the scene after she kills Bloodsport and what's the other one's name? I forgot the Preacher, and it's just like, and she calls the cleanup crew. I also thought that was actually like, oh, okay, that's an actually interesting concept. That's an actually interesting concept. But even when they did like, hey, the Burning Blitz 7, like Silencer actually enjoyed it because like I said, it feels like this one has a cohesive thing. Once again, how is this connected? How is this connected to Metal? But overall, this I feels like one of the highlights because it's actually properly written. Like, I actually did enjoy reading about Hope.
Yeah, the cleanup crew thing, it totally reminded me of John Wick. Like, they had basically the same thing in the first John Wick movie, so that's kind of what it reminded me of. And like Silencer, I agree, it's definitely an improvement over Damage. Like, you know, at least they are putting some effort into the writing and the story, but it kind of like, you know, brings up my whole issue with the books overall. It's just like, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's just kind of mediocre. It just feels like, you know, I could nothing special about it. I could read a bunch of significantly better stories in this genre, because this Silencer chick, she's like a kind of like a combination of, like, you know, the Punisher and Black Widow. Yeah, so it's like kind of an amalgamation of these two characters. And it's just I don't feel like, you know, there's anything special about it. There's nothing to really make me care about this protagonist or this story. Again, it's not terrible, but I don't see why this book needs to exist.
Well, and the elephant in the room when talking about the Silencer is the art, which
could be better.
Not the best. Yeah.
I get that. I get that JR is a controversial artist. I don't hate him. Never really jumped on the hate train, but I agree he's not the best in the industry.
I kind of feel like I kind of have to give it a pass, because it's like this is where it kind of does shine, because, you know, you have him when he did Wolverine, Enemy of the State, and those sort of things. And like I think he does better when it comes to these sort of action scenes versus like when he did Superman, where it just looked completely funky and out of place.
Yeah, his art on Superman was terrible. I hate his Superman. But yeah, I mean, I didn't hate the art, but it's just the story doesn't really pull me in. It just feels like it just constantly reminds me of, you know, better stories I've read. It's like, you know, the spy stuff. I feel like I could be reading a much better spy comic. The family stuff feels like, I guess, like a slightly darker version of The Incredibles, honestly. Like the first half of The Incredibles before the rest of the family are superheroes. But again, it just doesn't really pull me in.
Yeah.
So if we're done discussing Silencer, are we ready to move on to discussing Sideways?
Sure.
Okay, I'll start this one. Sideways was I had a lot of trouble reading this one and giving a single issue a shot, because this book is co-written by a gentleman named Dan Didio, and he is one of the worst people in all of comics, if not the worst. I mean, I hear a lot of hatred for guys like Tom Brevoort over at Marvel, like Dan Slott and Nick Spencer and all those guys, but Dan Didio, he is just as bad as them, if not worse. He deserves a lot more criticism, because he's basically ruined DC Comics for almost 15 years. He's been holding the company back for all that time. He became like a creative officer in like 2003 or 2004. Instantly started, like, you know, putting out all these horrible projects, causing all kinds of bad stories. And then he became the publisher of the company. He was responsible for the New 52 reboot. We all know what a nightmare that was. Then Rebirth comes along, seems okay for a while, and then it turns out to be a massive disappointment too. And it's like Dan Didio is more responsible for these failures than anyone else at DC. He comes off as a horrible person in interviews, massive meathead. He's like a known hater of many of DC's most well-liked characters. He hates Dick Grayson, of all people. How can anyone hate Dick Grayson? He wanted to kill Dick Grayson off in Infinite Crisis. Jeff Johns had to stop him, so he's just this extremely antagonistic man who comes off as hating a significant portion of DC's characters. So just seeing his name on this Sideways book was a massive turnoff for me. I don't think it deserves to be supported based entirely on who's the co-writer. I did end up breaking down and read the first issue, and I feel pretty much the same way about Silencer. It's a mediocre book. I could be reading much better books like it. Nothing special about it. No real reason to exist. It's basically just an average Spider-Man story, but with an original character instead of Peter Parker. So.
Wow.
And I hope you guys have the confidence to give your thoughts even after my rants. It's okay. You can
well, I wasn't
freely.
aware of all of the stuff about Dan Didio. You know, I just
he's a horrible person.
I've seen his writing on a lot of things. So it's that part of it's kind of surprising to me. Justin Jordan had been somewhat controversial more recently, so that's who I thought you were going to talk about.
I've never even heard of him. I don't know who Justin Jordan is.
He's just been blocking a lot of people on Twitter and stuff. A lot of the diversity in comics crowd were kind of having a back and forth with him. But yeah, he's real new. But as far as Sideways itself, I think personally, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but we're probably kind of like around 30. And I don't think Sideways is necessarily for us. Like, it really feels like if you were in high school or maybe even a little younger, like someone
I'm 22.
I'm
22.
Wow. Okay, well, you seem a little older, but in any case, it seems like a book for, young adults. It's maybe not for us. So personally, I think there's definitely a market for it there. So saying like it doesn't belong on the shelf, I don't think that's the case. But
well, the reason I feel that way is like, look, I'm not against young adult books. I'm not against books for teenagers. I just want them to be done well. And it's like there are a lot of teen heroes at DC who I think could fill this role just as well as the Sideways kid. I mean, I feel like they kind of screwed up Blue Beetle, the teenage Blue Beetle with he's out, and I get that there's then the next best choice would be like, I don't know, Static Shock, but there's like some, I don't know, rights issues with him. I don't know the details, but I don't know if DC can even use him right now. Then if you like go over to
trying to put him into the black label thing with the standalone comic.
That Milestone imprints that they've been announcing for the last decade, but it never really happened.
They do overdo it with the imprints.
Yeah, but it's like there are lots of other teen heroes in the DC that should be getting a bigger push, but aren't really. You got several in the Batman books, and these aren't just like personal favorites for him. There's like a lot of characters in DC who have had successful books in the past that they aren't really pushing. You got like the two former Batgirls. I mean, they both had pretty successful runs, but DC's just been kind of sitting on them, reducing them to supporting roles. They feel like they could use
Raven has her own solo miniseries going now.
Yeah, I think that finished up.
By Mard. No, there's
another one starting now.
That's right.
By Marv Wolfman. So that's a pretty big deal. And they have Christopher Priest on the Deathstroke with the Teen Titans and stuff. So I mean, they're definitely supporting a lot of teen heroes. And
but like how many?
Marv,
and there's like using these characters in like supporting roles and then like trying to push for them to get their own books, and it's like, I mean,
Nightwing had his own
arguably the best choice for like. Yeah, and I've been holding off on this one because it's like in this case it is a personal favorite. But if they really wanted like a Peter Parker stand-in, the way Sideways is supposed to be, the most logical option would be Tim Drake in the Batman books. He's Red Robin now. I feel like you could use a name change, but it's like, first of all, he's like, not only is he like one of the most successful members of the Bat family, had a solo run, lasted about almost 20 years, maybe even over 20 years, because he had 2 solo runs. But it's like, not only he's massive commercial success, but historically he kind of has been the Peter Parker of the DCU. He's been kind of like, the smart teenage superhero who like balances crime fighting with normal everyday problems. That was basically his character for majority of his existence. So it's like if they really, really want an answer to Peter Parker, they got the perfect guy right there. And I named some other candidates like Blue Beetle, Static, a bunch of others. That's not me playing personal favorites, but it's like that's my big problem with these books. If they really wanted to, I don't know, give Marvel some competition, do their own kind of version of Marvel heroes, they've got a bunch of other characters, existing characters that fans like.
They've been out selling Marvel, so.
What's that?
They're doing more than giving Marvel competition when Marvel doesn't have any books in the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I say competition very lightly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They've been drawing. I mean, everyone's been drawing comparisons between Marvel.
I guess what I meant is like if they want to pull over more readers from Marvel, it's like you got all these Marvel fans that they're fed up. So a lot of them are understandably coming over to DC. So it's like I feel like if they really wanted to latch onto those fans, I feel like it would have been smarter to use DC characters that DC fans already like, and just kind of market them the way they have New Age of Heroes. Is like we got our own version of Peter Parker, we got our own version of the Hulk or whatever, because and when I another example, you got Damage, who's kind of meant to be their Hulk stand, and I'm like I was thinking it's like if they wanted a Hulk stand, and they could be I don't know, Swamp Thing or someone. He's a scientist who was mutated giant green monster. Look, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It doesn't have to be exactly the same.
But even in that point, because the personalities and the scenes and everything are two completely separate things. I would probably say the best stand-in would be something like Suicide Squad or something like you need a character that's more that's more about personal self-hatred rather than just he's big green and angry.
Suicide Squad is not a character.
You get what I mean, because they have characters that fit the Hulk mantra better.
Like Solomon Grundy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's right. I should have said Solomon Grundy. I was kind of. I was good. That's right. Which is why I said Swamp Thing. So that's better.
Swamp Thing is really, really strong. And just as kind of a side note, I don't know if you saw the leaked. Well, it wasn't leaked. Tony S. Daniel tweeted it out, but it's the cover for Damage #6, and it's got Swamp Thing with Damage. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
I probably will continue reading it just for Swamp Thing at that point then.
Swamp Thing. Probably why they posted it so early.
But yeah, if you guys are done talking about Sideways and Silencer and all that, are we ready to go?
I will say this.
Yeah.
Matt, I know how much you hate Aunt May, but how much did you feel about the one Aunt May stand-in for Sideways?
Oh, you mean the blonde chick?
Yeah.
Which one? There were twins, right?
No, I'm talking about the mom.
Oh yeah, the mom. Oh yeah, that's right. She didn't leave an impression.
His adopted parents.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about the mom. She was just there.
Fair enough. I thought you were gonna give some Aunt May rant and just I wish this one dies too.
No, I only want the real Aunt May to die.
Or become Venom for some reason.
or become a Herald of Galactus. That actually happened at one point.
Or become Spider-Man herself. with her Spider-Man costume being her fucking apron.
That's awesome.
Yep. Okay. So if we're done talking about those other books, the Terrifics is, out of all these New Age hero books, this is the one that I genuinely like. And I mean, I think there's only one issue out so far. And I mean, first issue, it wasn't amazing, but it was good. I feel it was a decent setup. It has potential. But the reason I'm rooting for this one over the others is because they're doing what I suggested. They're using existing DC heroes, none of them are original characters. They've all been around for a while, and they basically like created their own version of the Fantastic Four, but with like DC heroes. You got like Mr. Terrific. He's the Reed Richards. That's a pretty close match. Yeah. Then you got Metamorpho. He's Ben Grimm. Then you got Plastic Man, who I guess is supposed to be Johnny Storm. Not the best matchup, but whatever.
Well, I would say yes because both are pretty much goofballs. That's supposed to be the comparison.
Yeah, and it's close enough, but not as good as the others. And then there's what's it, Phantom Lass from the Legion. I know nothing about. I'd never heard of her until now.
From the Legion, Storm, right? Legion.
Never really heard of her.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great.
She's been in every incarnation of the Legion, so she had to be. Aside from just her powers matching Zeus, she had to be in it because she's like one of the most stable members.
Okay, but again, I'm not super familiar with the Legion, so
yeah. I'm gonna force you to read them one of these days. Don't you worry.
Go ahead. Let me read my shitty Spider-Man comics first. But anyway,
I mostly come across the Legion when they're in other books like the Lightning Saga, the Justice League stories, and other ones like New Krypton and stuff where they cross over.
Superman and the Legion of Superheroes, and then the Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes. Oh man, I gotta have you read that one.
Which one?
Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh god. I can tell by your tone that I'm not going to like it very much.
Well, I'm just saying because it's Supergirl, but she fucks Brainiac in that one.
Oh my. Okay, but moving on from that. Anyway, yeah, I actually do genuinely like the Terrifics. I'm out of all these books, that's the one I'd the most recommend. That's one I suggest supporting and picking up. So but the other ones are just leave a bad taste in my mouth. I don't think. And I mean, did you guys have any other thoughts on these books?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall they're all worth at least looking at, with the Terrifics and Damage definitely being worth buying. And the 4 or so that haven't come out yet, those look pretty interesting. Like, I read the preview for Brimstone a couple times. I wasn't really too sure about that one. It looks like it might be a little kind of more dark, like a Vertigo book. But just the Immortal Men, I'm thinking is probably going to be up there with the Terrifics, with Jim Lee's art and everything. It looks really cool. So overall, I've got a mostly positive to very good feeling. But if I were to skip, I would definitely skip the Silencer and Sideways.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and there is one last book I wanted to discuss. It's not technically part of the New Age of Heroes stuff, but it's like it was released around the same time. It's a similar premise, so I feel it's worth bringing up. It's Batman and the Signal, and again, not technically under the New Age of Heroes imprint, but it's like pretty similar. It's close enough, so I feel it worth discussing. I've been pretty hard on these other books, these other characters, but none of them are as bad as the Signal. Like Duke Thomas, the Signal, he's by far my least favorite out of all of them. Basically, what he is, he's like the anti-Robin. It's like it's historically like Batman's allies. The Bat family consisted of all the living Robins and whoever the current Batgirl was, which wasn't perfect, but it worked out. It was good enough most of the time. Then New 52 came along. They basically shat on all of the Robins. They basically excommunicated them from the Bat books, and then this the Signal kid came along, and like not only is he basically being pushed and promoted way harder than most of the Bat family, despite being rejected by fans several times. He's already had like one failed book so far during ECU, I think. But it's like in his stories in his series, they're like openly antagonistic to Robin fans. Like in All-Star Batman, you've got Batman literally saying, "I don't need a Robin," and they says to the Signal kid, "You're going to be better than Robin," which is just absolutely cringeworthy. And then in this Signal book, I think the 2 issues are out. I've only got to read the first. He's like, I've trained with you longer than any of my other allies, and I'm giving you your own high-tech personal superhero headquarters. It's like,
And then let's not forget the fact that even in meta, it's like you're the signal for the new generation of heroes.
oh God. And meanwhile, it's like nobody really cares about this kid. He's just kind of he's just kind of there. There's like, DC's been pushing him nonstop throughout like the Rebirth and the New 52, and it's like, no one's really grown attached to him. He's just
He's only ever appeared in in Snyder's Batman run.
Well, he was in King's
Front. King's Front too, but that's because of Snyder's. King didn't have a way to write him out.
He's also in the 2017 DC New Talent Showcase book that came out.
I know
that had like 8 stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think too many people read the Talent Showcase, but
I did.
But yeah, I felt like it was worth bringing up just because it's being released in a similar format to the New Age of Heroes books, released around the same time, so it might as well have been under that imprint, which is what I'm saying. But it's a pretty worthless character out of all of them. He's the only one who makes the.
And then I'm sorry, but then my little rant. They cancel Super Sons and not this book.
That is.
Well, I mean, it was only a miniseries. Well, I mean, Batman the Signal is like only a 3-issue miniseries, so I mean.
Yeah, Super Sons was a fan favorite, and it sold well. I really don't understand why it was canceled.
I think it was because of Bendis, because to stroke Bendis's ego, they're like, relaunching all the Superman books with him in charge. So it's like, I guess they had to nuke Super Sons in the process, so he can take it up with BMB.
That's why Supergirl went down at the same time then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Supergirl, it wasn't selling well. The only reason it lasted was because they put an art germ on the covers. They kind of boosted the sales with a really, really good cover artist. So.
Yeah. Well, that's not even worth it for Bendis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bendis is not that good. And anyway, I think we're about almost ready to wrap up. The last point I wanted to bring up is the reason I'm paying so much attention to these series, even though they didn't really interest me much in the first place, is because there's been I guess a lot of people have been rallying around these books. Like you got this hashtag on Twitter, Move the Needle, and it's basically just a bunch of comic fans who are trying to give power back to the consumers. It's encouraging the companies stop pandering.
I use Move the Needle.
Yeah, I use it too, and I support it. It's something I support. It just meant kind of reclaim power for the consumers, as opposed to a bunch of crazy people on the internet who don't even pay for comics. So it's something I support, but it's I've seen a lot of support for these New Age of Heroes books, that hashtag, and it's I think people should if they like these books, they should go ahead and read them. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's fun. I'm not trying to tell anyone that they shouldn't enjoy these books, but it's I don't think it's the best look to be rallying around these books, because they aren't selling well. They're not big financial hits, and they never really had a chance of being big hits because it's original characters with no real connection to any existing.
That's somewhat debatable about them not selling well. Nothing in the comic book industry is selling well unless it has the name Batman on it. And even the second issues of Silencer and Damage did over 20,000 units, which isn't great, but you're still talking Wonder Woman numbers in the first 2.
I mean, I think in comparison to I was saying when similar to Matt, remember that tweet you're talking about with the artist that did She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of for a no-name book that's just starting out, kind of better than a lot of the actual long-standing titles that that Marvel has that are by like in their 12th run or something like that.
Well, the thing is, there are only 2 issues in, and it's like I think the most successful so far is Damage second issue, only 27,000 copies. That's
I guess
pretty.
Terrifics did about
And it's
41.
like, oh yeah, Terrifix. Yeah, Terrifix is the most successful out of all of them. But out of the original characters, Damage is doing the best. And it's like, it's commonly agreed that cancellation range for comics, unless it has really really good trade sales, below 20K is cancellation range. And if it's at 27K on its second issue, then it's guaranteed to go below cancellation range within 1 or 2 more issues. And then Silencer is doing worse. I don't think the sales for Sideways #2 are out yet, but it's probably going to do similar numbers. So it's like not a huge financial success. They aren't, and again, it's like they never really had a chance to be a big success. But it's like you got all these like I know this big consumer movement. It's like it just started out as something like I guess a few hundred people now, but it'll probably it could be grow bigger later on. But it's like if they're like rallying around these books that aren't selling well, aren't big financial successes, that's probably not the best look if they want to appear appealing to the editors and publishers. If they want to look influential, I don't think they should spend so much time rallying around low selling books. I mean, maybe the Terrifics that might have a chance of doing better, or stuff like, I don't know, or even the Bold. I'm not saying they're huge hits either, but at least they have a chance. So I think that was so again, like if these books look appealing to you, if you're enjoying them, that's fine. I just don't think that they should be the focus of a consumer revolt or whatever you want to call it. So, but I think that's all my thoughts. You guys have anything else to say?
Just that, as far as the sales numbers not being great, I think that's a bigger story overall, just print media not doing well. I mean, there's only one book that sold over 100,000 units, right?
Yes.
So, I mean,
and I agree, comic sales in general are in the shitter. I'll willingly admit that a lot of characters I like, I mean, Nightwing, my second favorite hero all time, his book is not doing great numbers because it's not well written or well drawn, because people don't really have the reason to buy it. But I mean, I think my point still stands that if consumers want to appear powerful, they should support media that's either successful or has a chance of success. So just for the purpose of optics.
Well, then it's becoming a matter of supporting something just because it's popular. The whole point of moving the needle is to show what we like and what we are supporting, whether it sells well or not.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's like, I feel like if you want to demonstrate, I feel like the purpose of tag is demonstrate more of like a financial pull, or at least it should demonstrate like some financial incentive to start trying to win back consumers' trust. So I don't think it's the best strategy, but again, I guess people can support what they want, so whatever.
Oh yeah, it's good to all have different opinions too.
Yeah.
It'd be really boring if we all agreed on everything.
Yeah, I think I have to go with DC Finance because in that same point, I mean, everybody here knows how much I champion things like the Fantastic Four, the JSA, and the Legion of Superheroes, and how much you want to bet someone that is anti-move the needle would just look up 2015's whole, sales record on Fantastic Four and say, see, nobody bought Fantastic Four.
Was that Hickman's run?
No, it wasn't. It was after That was after Hickman.
Oh yeah, but that one sucked, didn't it?
No, well, yes and no. Marvel. No, it was Amir's run, I think, and pretty much they stated full out that Marvel was going to cancel the book no matter what because they couldn't get the copyright. So why would they, why would they matter on a series that You gotta mean like they don't. Well, we don't have the copyrights to them, so why should we care about this series?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and
I mean,
then
that's even kind of the point why in the Punisher's issue of like I think February, they had the Punisher, they had the cast of the Fantastic Four movie being killed off by a missile before the movie even came out.
yeah, I remember that. But yeah, and I mean, I get what both you guys are saying, and it's like I think that like a lot of the people who like think I guess New Age of Heroes is like a positive step for DC. I mean, I think a lot of them like don't really realize how much untapped potential DC is already sitting on. Like how many like successful characters they're kind of ignoring as they push these New Age of Heroes books. Because I mean, I like made a short list of like these characters who have had successful series in the past but don't have any at the moment. Booster Gold, Captain Marvel, Swamp Thing, Justice Society, the Legion of Superheroes, Power Girl, Animal Man, Kyle Rayner, Starman, Wally West, Tim Drake. There's
Well, they
probably
can't
more.
use Starman because Robinson made a specific contract saying only he could ever write Starman.
Oh, okay. So maybe with that exception, if it's like all the, and I'm sure there's more out there if I put more effort into it. It's like all these like characters or teams. They've had runs that lasted at least 50 issues in the past, I think. So it's like you got all these proven successes, and they're not really promoting them, slash maybe small supporting roles, and they got this
Yeah.
whole line of like brand new characters. I mean, no one really asked for them. It's like I feel like it's kind of a vanity project. It's kind of a case of DC like doing what they want as opposed to fans want. So I don't think it's very consumer friendly. So I just feel like these books are maybe somewhat counter to what Move the Needle should be striving for, but that's just my opinion.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like I get that a lot of a lot of people like they're like Marvel fans who are just totally turned off by the company, and I totally understand that. I'm a Marvel fan too, and I'm glad they're coming over to DC. But it's just I feel like a lot of them don't really understand how much DC has lost, how much like DC is suffering in their own right, how badly they're treating a lot of their characters. So I don't know. I just have
They
a
bought
bad
up the
feeling.
rights to
What's that?
characters for DC. They bought the rights to characters and bought up all these comic book companies over the past 70 years. And you're right, they are just sitting on tons of characters. It is a little strange there isn't a JSA book.
Yes, or a Captain Marvel book, or
And I mean, concerning how much I mean, just like I said, it's terrific, and a bunch of even Doomsday Clock. It's like they've literally been hinting at the JSA and the Legion for the past almost 3 years now, and it's like, where are you leading up with this?
hmm yes, and it's like
I do.
it's just I'm the reason like I have a kind
Hold
of
on, Matt.
Okay.
Doomsday Clock.
I was just gonna say I have been enjoying Doomsday Clock. It just sucks it's getting delayed.
Mm-hmm. Literally, the third issue was like, come on, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah. At least they aren't rushing Gary Frank. They're like, okay, take your time and just bi-monthly. We'll get it out there. I think DC is making the right decision there too. It's okay to delay it a month because if it's anything like The Watchmen, people will be buying it on trade 30 years from now.
And not just that, it's also going to be, at least they're not going like a certain other book did with Secret Empire, where they're just extending it even after saying like, okay, it's only going to be 5, no, 6, no, 7 issues.
I like
even-
Doomsday Clock. It's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I'm enjoying it in kind of a weird way.
That's a good way to describe it, a guilty pleasure.
hmm But yeah, I guess my last thought on all of this is just I feel like DC has better probably has better things to do than to start propping up new characters like this. I think they have better characters that they should be pushing, that they should be trying to get back to solo book status. So I feel like the effort they're putting into these new Age of Hero books is kind of a waste. I feel like they could do just as well, if not better, by focusing on things that the fans actually like, as opposed to, because like everyone wants to leave their own mark on things. They want characters that they created running around finding success and stuff. But I don't think that's really what they should be doing right now. I feel like they could be doing better. That's it.
Well, maybe somewhere down the line when all of the, or more at least of the books have come out, we can reevaluate it and see how you feel then.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about it again.
Yeah, maybe. But I think I've said my piece. If you guys have any final thoughts, now's the time to say them.
You can go ahead.
I kind of did my rant when it came to the JSA and Legion, I thought that was final thoughts.
Oh. Well, you know, I pretty much already said my stuff too. I like it overall and pretty positive, and you know, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if that's it, I think we're ready to wrap up. So thanks everyone for watching, and be sure to subscribe. Good night, everybody.
Yep, thanks.